Hi everyone, today we're going to be discussing the difference between sciatica and sciatica. Maybe you haven't heard of that before. The thing is, they present very similar to each other to the individual from a symptom standpoint. So oftentimes they're confused. The key difference is one is a nerve injury or nerve condition, and the other is more of a soft tissue injury. So today I'm going to give you some simple guidance and tests you can do right at home to help you determine whether or not this is the traditional nerve injury of sciatica or sciatica. So let's dive in. So first off, let's discuss what sciatica is in the traditional sense. So really it's a term that just basically describes pain down the back of the leg. When there's true involvement in the sciatic nerve, which is the largest nerve in the body that travels through the glute, hamstring, all the way down into the foot. The sciatic nerve comes from a few branches in the low back and in the pelvis that are called nerve roots. And when those come together, they form the sciatic nerve that goes down the leg. Now, in the traditional sense, when you have full-blown sciatica, typically there's compression or tension on that sciatic nerve or the individual nerve roots that come out of the spine. And when this happens, there's essentially tension that's building up on the sciatic nerve. Normally, your sciatic nerve should not be under tension, or any part of your nervous system for that matter, but it is anchored at two different ends. So the best way you can kind of visualize this is if I show you an example of if you took a rope, or in this case a rehab band, and you pretend this green band is your sciatic nerve or part of the nervous system. If this was your head on my left and this was the bottom of your foot on the right, these are the two anchor points. If you extend one or you move one in one direction, typically there's enough slack left in the system where it doesn't cause tension. Or if you move the foot or the leg, for example, there's still slack in that sciatic nerve that allows for tension. Now, nerves are not like, they're not elastic type tissues, so any pressure or tension on those nerves does cause irritation. It will cause symptoms. So whether that's numbness and tingling, pain, you name it. There's a few different ones, or just, I guess, weakness is another one. Now, whether that is numbness and tingling, weakness, or just generalized nerve pain, none of those are fun, really, to be completely honest, and they are quite alarming. So you definitely want to get to the root cause of that. Now, when you have sciatica in the traditional sense, where there's compression on the nerve, whether that's entrapment in a muscle or there's say a disc injury in the low back causing pressure on one of the origin sites of the nerve root, essentially what you're doing is you're taking slack out of that system. So for example, you're basically pulling a little bit so there's more tightness on the system to begin with. So when you extend the head or you extend the leg, you're getting tension in that sciatic nerve, thus creating pain. For some people, that's only a little bit of movement. For other people, it's more towards the extreme end ranges or the normal end ranges where it starts recreating that. And then oftentimes you might just notice it with certain positions throughout the day, like sitting for periods of 15 to 20 minutes. That light tension on the system is creating pain and discomfort, and therefore you have to naturally stand up, move around, and kind of decompress that nerve in the system. There's a simple test you can also do at home to help you understand what this is, and that's called the slump test. So what you would do is you'd be seated, you would rotate your head down, start with your chin, tuck it to your chest, and then roll your shoulders forward. And then while you're in that position, you would extend your leg at the knee with a pointed toe, and then draw your toes back towards you when your leg is stretched out. Now, what you may feel just with tucking your head down is you may recreate that sciatic pain into your the back of your hip or down your leg, and it may take a little bit more where you're just extending the knee. Typically, if there is nerve root tension, this is true sciatica, you're going to feel that pain with some of these movements. If you're somebody who just has a little bit of nerve tension to begin with, and you think you might have just tight hamstrings, but it's actually nerve root tension. Some people are just predisposed to kind of like less slack in the system. Then you might notice at the end ranges of those, you're getting this pain down the back of your hamstring, or this discomfort and uneasiness into the hip, and just the overall movement might not be that easy. But for most people, you should be able to do that without any irritation to your system at all. So that's how you can determine if it is true full-blown sciatica in the traditional sense. If that's the case, you definitely want to go in and see a practitioner to find out what the underlying cause is. There's specific orthopedic tests and neurological tests where they can pinpoint where the source of that sciatica is coming from, and then you can take the appropriate measures, whether that's chiropractic, physiotherapy, or different modalities to try to alleviate some of the underlying root cause to the sciatic nerve irritation. Now, the second thing that we're going to talk about, which often presents as sciatica, which is Sideatica. And what this is really IT band syndrome. So a lot of runners and cyclists have probably heard of this before. And when it's full blown and really irritated, it is one of the most excruciating things going. I've had it before. It's excruciating down the side of the leg into the knee where you can barely bend your knee. Typically, this is characterized as pain on the outside of the hip and then down towards the knee. It could even extend past the knee into the calf. And that's why we typically get confused if we have that, and we just often will call it sciatica, when really traditional sciatica should be starting at the back of the hip. It might refer out to the side, and it typically will go down to the back of the leg and then sometimes into the groin area. But in the general sense, it doesn't shoot down the side of the leg like sciatica would. So Sideatica, or IT band syndrome, is characterized by the IT band that runs down the side of the leg and attaches around the knee, side of the knee. But what happens there's a couple pelvic stabilizers that attach to this big fascial band. And this fascial band is to support and protect the muscles on the side of the leg to help keep them in check and in balance when they're flexing and moving. And you can't really do too much to the iliotibial band to extend it or traction it. I hear a lot of times, just foam roll it, stretch it out. It hurts like hell when you're doing it because you're not really making much change. What you really need to do is act on the muscles that affect the length and the tension on that IT band, as well as the muscles that sit underneath of the IT band, where they should have a smooth, frictionless interface between them. So I'll link to that in another video up here. You can see how I would deal with this at home, especially how I treated it myself when it does get really bad. And you know, if you ever are in the future having concerns about whether or not you are suffering from sciatica or Sideatica, hopefully this video helps you determine which direction you need to go. Because if it's the nerve-related issue, you should definitely seek out some professional help. You don't want that to get worse. But if it is Sideatica or IT band syndrome, a lot of this stuff you can mitigate at home on your own time.